Okay, hey YouTube. Today's video is about how it's going to get worse before it gets better for trans people. And so with trans issues kind of getting much more media attention now, like it did with Houston's Equal Rights Ordinance, it means that there's going to be a lot more negative press out there about trans people. There's going to be more negative columns. There's going to be a fair and balanced debate about trans rights when it comes to things like access to easily changeable paperwork, or which bathroom should we get to use, or should taxpayers be covering the cost of SRS for trans people. And you can bet your bottom dollar that the Republicans are going to say, no, that's a complete waste of taxpayer dollars to pay for anybody's health care. But that's beside the point here. The point here is that anti-trans folk, so transphobic bigots, cis sexists, just anybody like that, they're going to say, well, it's just my opinion about whether or not trans people should use the same bathroom. Ben Carson said we shouldn't get special rights, yet we should get our own special third bathroom. I'm not sure what bathroom trans men will be supposed to use, maybe the same one, or a fourth bathroom. And then what about people who aren't either of those? Then do we have a fifth bathroom? Does just everybody get their own bathroom and George Costanza's finally happy? I don't know. It doesn't make logistical sense, and it's really kind of perverse that we're having a discussion about whether or not people deserve these same rights that other people deserve here in 2015. But that's not going to prevent bigots, radfems, whoever from kind of trotting out any argument they can to try to invalidate trans identities, to invalidate or misrepresent the trans experience, and to try to justify the continued discrimination against trans people. And so we're going to see that in a variety of different ways. So, for example, there's a famous, or now infamous, study that took place in Sweden where they did a follow-up for trans people who had surgery to look at various different outcomes. And the conclusion of the study by the authors is that SRS alone probably isn't a sufficient treatment for gender dysphoria and for trans people. They say that there should probably be further medical treatment, particularly in the area of psychological counseling and things like that, but that there also needs to be just sort of a better social environment for trans people in order for them to have outcomes that compare to the general population. But people will cite the fact that the trans suicide rate was significantly higher in that study than of the general population of Sweden. And while that is true, it seems kind of understandable given that being trans, and while Sweden is a more progressive society than the US, it's not necessarily fully tolerant either, especially between 1970 and 2003 or whenever the study took place. So it's understandable that being trans was going to cause stress on jobs, money, family, friends, all sorts of things that are going to have an effect on suicide or attempted suicide or the actual act of committing it or whatever. So people are going to misrepresent that. But the point here isn't that there are all these bad arguments against trans people. It's that every single bad argument is going to be trotted out against trans people until people finally realize that the bigots, the cis sexist, transphobes, they're all full of shit. And when people realize that, that's when it'll get better for us. But up until then, we've got to deal with this bullshit. So keep your head up, keep a smile on your face, and don't worry, it will eventually get better.